Okay, Torah, page 26 of Vayera, bottom of the first column, 3 lines from the end of the first column. Okay, Alter Rebbe is explaining that the 10 Sfiras are called Tikkunim. And he explains why they called Tikkunim. They're not the essence of the Nefesh. This, that in Tanya, he says that we wrote that it is the essence of the Nefesh, that's only compared to Machshava, Dibur, and Maisa. Compared to thought, speech, and action, those are separated garments. But the Seichel and Midas, intellect and emotions, are called Tikkunim, which is like jewelry, which becomes one with the person themselves. It's not some garment that you take on, it's something separate. This is part of your body. And he says that it's like when a person wants to move, they want to move their hand, immediately they move their hand. Okay, this is what we're up to now. 3 lines in the end of the first column. The same thing we can understand, the concept of intellect and emotions of the nefesh. What does that mean? They're only the level of jewelry or garments that the nefesh beautifies itself or functions through. That's the way the nefesh functions in the body. Like the axe in the hand of the chopper. In other words, like this. You have the nefesh. The nefesh needs to function in the body. How does the nefesh function in the body? So it's through intellect and emotions. It also works in the body through thought, speech, and action. But the difference but it's not the nefesh. The nefesh is higher than seichel, higher than midas. It's higher than intellect, higher than emotions. The nefesh is the nefesh. How does it function in the body? The nefesh functions in 2 ways. With, say, intellect and emotions, it's one way. And then you have thought, speech, and action. He's going to explain this now. For instance, lahov v'midas o'ava. If the nefesh wants to love, how does it love? In the body. How does the nefesh love? Through the midah of ava. Or how does it have seichel? Through the level of chachma. Shekol zel kriyetzi b'zeh. All of this is only pa'ulas ha-nefesh. It is not the nefesh. It's the way the nefesh functions in the body. The way the nefesh functions in the body is through seichel and midas or through thought, speech, and action. That's only the way. Again, the nefesh wants to show seichel to something, somebody. It functions through chachma. But the nefesh itself, like we said, it's like a battery. Okay, the nefesh. Again, it's a remarkable mashal that just because we can understand it a little bit. The battery is not the light of the flashlight or the talking of the toy or whatever it may be. The way the nefesh, the battery, functions in the body, so if it wants to give light, it has the flashlight. If it wants to talk or whatever in a toy, that's what it does. But the battery is functioning through the toy or the flashlight or whatever it may be. But it itself is not the seichel and the midah. The nefesh itself is much greater. Avanesh nefesh mitzad atzma, but the seichel itself is the ma'ala mikol abchinas halolu, are above intellect and above seichel, above midas and so on. Seichel v'amidas. Because how do you know it's not the nefesh? Seichel changes and midas change. Right? Little kids want little things. You get older, you want officially bigger things. Yeah, the nefesh doesn't change. The nefesh can't change. If seichel and midas would be the nefesh, how could they change? Because in midas you have petty midas and more immature midas. Like he says, shakot naiv dvarim ketanim, v'aseichel, and seichel also changes because the Gemara says, Talmidei chachamim kol zman shemaskinim, the older they get, the smarter they get. So you see, seichel changes. Huh?
When you leash nefesh Abraham.
When you leash,
When you
yeah, it doesn't change. Its functioning changes,
right.
not the nefesh. The functioning taka changes. It functions more, it functions less.
Somebody does a lot.
The sun in the sky doesn't change if the windows are open or the shutters are shut.
Or if it's cloudy.
Or if it's cloudy.
Well, a Russian is pressing food and he's doing all the abonot that he can. His nefesh Abraham.
His understanding of Aveda is pressing food. Okay, good.
At a
No?
high level.
Yeah.
Nefesh Abraham doesn't get stronger.
No. The midas of the nefesh Abraham gets stronger, not the nefesh. The powers of the nefesh Abraham is the way the nefesh Abraham functions. You have a greater midah, a greater seichel to it. That's all.
So really, this nefesh that we're talking about is the nefesh.
Is nefesh Abraham is nefesh Elikis. Right now, the one that gives life to the body is nefesh Abraham. But when he speaks about, by the way, in Pasuk, he always speaking the nefesh Elikis. Ant the pikas the Korinas Sfina, that's the 10 spheres of Atzilus. That's the nefesh Elikis. Vein mekabel shinuyim mikri aguf. And the nefesh doesn't get any changes from the body. Sheina mislabesh is batzmus beguf. The nefesh itself is not in the body. It functions in the body. The nefesh itself is separated from the body. It functions in the body. How does it function in the body? Either with jewelry, i.e. seichel and midas, or garments with the machshava de'v'ramaisa. The Kerches Shem is Pashat, is beguf mislabish by the dresses in their body. Hey mekablim shinuyim. They get differences mitzad aguf. Ha mekabel bekotten kach v'bezokin kach. But again, the nefesh doesn't change. What changes is the functioning of the nefesh. If it's greater, less, more, less, greater, minute, whatever it may be. And therefore even the seichel and the midas are only ha'odes ha'nefesh v'kerchesel. The nefesh is powers. Amis pashat is beguf, but eina atzmis ha'nefesh emusa. It's not the essence of the nefesh. The essence of the nefesh is essential thing higher than seichel and midas. It's higher even than rotzen. The essence of the nefesh is yichida. So what does it mean? The nefesh functions umispashat is bekerches v'hadas ha'alalu. So the nefesh functions in the body through seichel midas and thought, speech, and action. Mikama came ein and nefrod levushim nefrod. But he says like this. So what's the difference between seichel and midas and machshava de'v'ramaisa? So they're both garments. Okay. He says the difference is though, seichel and midas is not as separated from the nefesh that thought, speech, and action is. That's mamish covers the nefesh, limits the nefesh to be able to function in a certain way. Our seichel v'midas hein ha'oretz mi'atzmius nefesh. They are not the nefesh. They're revelations and manifestations of the nefesh, but they're not garments, eletikunim, they're like jewelry, that the essence becomes beautified through them, like jewelry, it actually beautifies the person.
When we say that the neshama comes down here, Viram Tachtoni, to do the right things, so you get elevated, what's getting elevated? The midot and levushim of neshama?
The whole nefesh, every part of it, the essence.
We just said that the nefesh doesn't change.
Through, no, it can have a greater level of God, it can receive and reveal a greater level of godliness.
That's going to change the nefesh?
No. Because the nefesh anyway is chiluk alakami malmamish. The only question is how much of a covering it is.
So what changes it? When the neshama does the mitzvot, the deal with tachtonim, what changes?
Nothing changes. The nefesh perceives a greater level of godliness than it did before.
But the neshama is the same neshama that came down.
Yes. It's just able to perceive and feel a higher level of godliness.
So Rabbi, the neshama has both neshama Lakit and neshama Ma'amud.
There's two different nefesh. Nefesh Olakis and Nefesh
This
Abahamas.
is one entity?
No, two distinct entities.
Two different entities.
Yeah,
So this one we're talking
fighting
about,
with each other.
So over here, we're talking about the neshama.
Here officially he's talking about Nefesh Olakis, even though he's talking about the life of the, but Al Rebbe was a tzaddik, so he lived from Nefesh Olakis. He's talking about Nefesh Olakis in the body, I don't know.
When Tanya says you strive to be a tzaddik, you strive, nothing is going to change. It's just a revelation of how much more that we perceive if we do the right thing.
What is the difference between Atzilus and Bria and Yetzira and Asiya?
Revelation.
It's only a difference of how much revelation there is, which makes Atzilus higher than Bria. It doesn't mean physically higher, second floor, third floor, take the elevator up to the penthouse. That's not what it means. A greater perception of godliness. By the way, the Ram says in the Torah about the Malachim. He said the different levels of Malachim, Srafim aim the Mimalai. The Srafim stand above the Ifanim. Right? That means the Srafim perceive a greater level of godliness than the Ifanim do. They're more refined.
So the nefesh doesn't change at all.
No. It's just how much the nefesh is able to perceive godliness. Just like it is in the Gashmistic nefesh. So we can understand in the Yud Maila B'Yud Sfiris, in the 10 Sfiris of Atzilus, that Pasach Eliyahu says, Ya'anto Tapikas Asa Tikunin, and you call them, you gave out 10 Tikunim, and you call them 10 Sfiris. What does that mean? Ainu Chochmo Midas Atzilus. The Il, the Gamer Echad. He's speaking, the Alter Rebbe is saying, Eliyahu Navi and Pasach Eliyahu is speaking about the 10 spheres of Atzilus. He's not talking about B'ri, Yetzir, and Asiya. He's speaking about Antu Tapika Nasa Tikunin, talking about the levels of Atzilus. Avo B'yayin B'chinas Levushim Mamish, that it says Levushim Tikinas Lane, that you made Levushim in the same Pasach Eliyahu, right? It says later on Levushim Tikinas Lane, which means that's already the world of B'ri. So the levels of Gilui and Atzilus, the spheres, that's like tikkunim, jewelry. The 10 spheres in Bria and so on, that's the level of levushim. And even levushim, you can have summer clothing and fall clothing and winter clothing, which are thicker and thicker and thicker. What?
Is the avodah that we're speaking of right now
By the way, he's not speaking of Veda now. He's just speaking about facts. This is the level. But what?
Is our avodah to expand our perception of godliness?
Yes. In other words, our avodah is to remove the concealment of godliness that he created in the world. Okay? Dira b'tachteinim. Okay? Tachteinim means, and the Alter Rebbe asks in Tanya, what does Tachteinim mean? If there's no higher or lower by Hashem, it's all over. So what do you mean higher and lower? I mean, Dir v'Tachteinim, Alter Rebbe in Tanya, in the Lamed Vav. Right, it says, what does it mean higher and lower? There's, he's all over, right? Okay, so he explains, higher and lower represent amount of revelation. Okay? So he says, that Hashem created the Dir v'Tachteinim, shein tachton l'matim mimenu. There's nothing lower. There's nothing lower than this world. Okay? That means this world is full of mud coverings. Okay? Coverings of Elokus, unbelievable blood. You look out in the world, you don't see Elokus. Okay? Not only that, you could be anti-Semitic. You could be anti-godliness. Okay? So what's the Aved of the Jew? Layer by layer, we uncover it. You do a mitzvah, you bring Kedusha in the world. What do you mean bringing Kedusha into the world? You're uncovering a layer. So obviously there's less blockage. So there's able to be more Gilui. Chas v'sholom, if somebody does an Avera, they add a covering. Okay, they darken the room again. So the whole Aved of the Jew, of Dira, of a dwelling place, Latzmusi, to the essence of Hashem, is to remove all this covering, and therefore in the era of Mashiach, which is the ultimate purpose of creation, v'nigla kved Hashem, v'ro kol basa yachtav, there will be revealed the Gilui of Elokus. That's the whole Aved of the Jew.
Similar to a Brit Milah, no?
Correct. So he says like this. Kine antu chakim pirush. What does it mean when he says in Pasuk Leo? Yeah, antu chakim v'li b'chacham yadir. You are smart, but not with the known level of chacham. What does that mean? Pirush antu, who's you? Our Ein Sof is chakim shenim shel b'bchinas chachma. It comes from it the level of chachma. Al derech b'malkim shata meisik dulasik. Like the Gemara says, in the place where you find Hashem's greatness, there you find His humility. Meaning, v'adayin ein chakim b'chachmi yadir. Now the Alter Rebbe is explaining like this. When Eliyahu Navi says, antu chakim v'loi b'chachmi yadir, so what does it mean? You are chachma not with the known level of chachma. He said what it means is, you are not tangible chachma in Atzilus. You are the source of chachma. El shenikra chakim. Why is Chochmah and Atzilus called Chochmah? Fishum Mokar HaChochmah. It's the source of Chochmah. Umimena Hamshachas Chochmah B'Yitzir Nasiya. Agam Shener Chochmah Debriya. And definitely Asiya to be called Chakim. So now the Alter Rebbe is explaining like this. In the Sfiris, what does it mean? Tikudim? They're not Levushim Nifrad. Meaning, Seichel and Midas of Bria are called Levushim. Dvorim Nifrodim. They're separate entities. Okay? You can't have a Levush of a thin layer of a shmata here is not a garment. Jewelry it is. But it's not a garment. Okay? So, what does it mean? Antu chakim leiba chochma yadiyah. The level of chochma d'atzilis, it's not practical chokhmah. It's the source of chokhmah of Bria Yitzir and Asiya. So chokhmah d'Atzilus, the Alter Rebbe is explaining, means it's the source of chokhmah of the lower worlds. But that's already in a world called Atzilus. Higher than Atzilus, there's not even a level of chokhmah, so to speak, that even has a source of it.
So then what is there?
What?
So then what's higher than that?
Nothing, there's no spheres.
No, but that was...
I mean, everything's relative up there. There's also worlds.
Kesser, what is it? I mean, how do you pronounce?
Yeah, Kesser, higher than Kesser, whatever.
There's a Torah that is much higher than the Torah that we have.
There's a level of Torah which is Shashoya Melech Hashem's toy.
Which we don't have more.
We do. That's the Pnimis Torah. That's going to be revealed when Mashiach comes. Now we're tasting it. To Amer Chaim Zachor. It's only Friday afternoon you taste the Shabbos foods. No, that's what it says. But the actual Gilui, Tzaratzah Shel Mashiach, right? That's why they didn't need a Mitzrayim for Matan Torah to reveal the revealed part of Torah. And this Golus is 10 times longer, literally, meanwhile, yeah, to be able to have the preparation for the Pnimis Torah. Now we taste it a little bit. You don't eat up all the food on Friday because you won't have what to eat Shabbos. So we taste it. So now we're tasting Tamar Chaim Zachor.
Yeah.
Okay, so he says like this. Now will he understand it, that Chochmah is only the source of it. He says like this. Al derech ma she'omer Hazal, the Gemara says, Ein loch kol Esav. There's no grass down here that doesn't have a mazel that hits it and says grow. What does that mean? He says like this. Hariyat Tapuach Hagashmi gives the motion. The Alter Rebbe explains it very down to earth, so to speak. A physical apple, okay? Asher ba'aretz. I'm sorry. Yesh bei mesikas v'cheich echel yita. It has sweetness, and you taste the sweetness when you eat it. Ha'im nemar. Are we going to say sheyesh b'keich hatzemech asher ba'aretz, that the earth that plants this, makes the apple seed grow, there's tamu mesikas gamkein? What are you going to say? If you taste the earth, or even more so, if you taste the seed, eat an apple seed, you will never taste the sweetness of an apple. Yet, this seed that doesn't look like an apple, it doesn't taste like an apple, yet it produces an apple. And this seed will produce a peach, or a plum, or a grape, whatever it is, yeah? So are you going to say that this seed, or the earth that's making it grow, because the seed rots in the ground, germinates, right, in the ground, and then it grows. So basically, the Koyach HaTzameach Ba'aretz is together with the seed makes things grow. So you're going to say you taste it? There's no connection whatsoever. But what is it? It's a source that from this seed comes an apple, and this seed for peach, and so on. He says, Upshita b'mazel she'einem erech muzeh klal. The mazel definitely doesn't taste like an apple. But the mazel hits it, makes it grow. Are you going to say that the mazel is the apple? Or the seed is the apple, or the earth is the apple?
The mazel is a malach?
Yeah, something like that.
No, but the earth has an effect on the apple.
Yeah, it's the source of it. But it's not it. Chochmah Vatzilus is the source of Chochmah of Bria, but it's not. It's not Chochmah. It's the source of it. Or Chassidus gives another mashal. I don't know the Alter Rebbe says it, probably not. Even a deep level of a mashal would be Even HaChalamish, Torah Chalamish, flintstone. Yeah? It's the source of fire. You rub two stones together, you're going to create fire. Correct? You touch the stone, it's cold. Not only that, you could put the stone in the water for 100 years. You take out the stone, and you rub it together, you're going to make a fire. L'chayra, so what Tzurach Halamish is the source of fire. Correct? It's more spiritual source than the seed with the apple. Or the earth with the apple. So Chassidus has all these misholim for the way it is in the source of way Elokus is only, like it's called Esesphere Sagnozes, Kayachayuli. I mean, it's at a potential, and even in potentially you have different levels. Moshe Chassidus says like this: you have a barbecue grill. Okay? So you make a fire, and then you don't see the fire anymore. The coals are burning hot. Okay? If you blow on them, like a blacksmith with the bellows or what do you call them? So then the fire comes back out. Okay? There's no fire there now. But you blow on it, the fire is going to come out. So again, these coals are the source of fire also. But it's a much more tangible source. All you have to do is blow. You're going to take a Torah Chalamish and blow on it, you're not going to get fire. It's less tangible as a source than the fire of Gecheles. Gecheles, you blow on it, you reveal the fire. So it's the source of fire. You don't see any fire, but it's the source of fire. But it's a very close source. You blow on it, you get the fire. Tzorach halamish is also a source for fire. But you got to rub it together. And by the way, this is to show, you take those coals and put them into water and take them out and blow on it, you're not going to get fire. Because it itself is fire, now you're knocking it off by putting it into water. The Tzorach halamish is a higher source that water can't put out the source aspect of the Tzorach halamish for the fire.
That's what you're saying.
So he says you have the mazel that hits and makes it grow. The mazel doesn't taste like an apple. The seed doesn't taste like an apple. The earth doesn't taste like an apple. And that's what Rashi in Vayishlach says, that Acheri Yesh Ve'ha'aretz simply means the inhabitants of the land. So Rashi says in Chumash, they're experts in agriculture. They would taste the earth
That's what I was going to say there.
and see what it's good for.
American Indians are good.
So let's say they will taste the earth and say, oh, this is good for an apple. Yeah?
Yeah.
That is less of a source than the seed of the apple. It might be good to plant apple here, but it sure doesn't taste like an apple. The earth they ate didn't taste like an apple. They're able to tell the source.
Amazing.
But again, you have so many different levels of sources. Coals are a source of fire. All you have to do blow on it. You have the seed. They're all the potential of, but it has nothing at all. 1 second. In tomorrow's Yom Rabbi b'Shabbos, we say Anei ta'ezen ala yishma, im yetzer ayin ala yabit. What is David HaMelech saying over there? It says, Im yetzer ayin, if Hashem makes an eye, can he not see? Anei ta'ezen, he makes an ear, ala yishma, will he not hear? Now what does that mean? Hashem hears and Hashem sees? No. What it's saying is, if Hashem can make an eye, is he not the source of it? Is he not the source of it? Now, obviously, the source has to have in the potential the same qualities and characteristic traits of the thing he's a source for. But in a much, much, much more refined level. But
The more then the source has, it's a higher level of spiritualism.
yeah, because it's less connected to the Gashmi. Because it's more spiritual. All this brings out, by the way, the greatness of Elokus, that even Chochmah Atzilus is still not Hashem. It's only the source of Chochmah. But over there in Atzilus, it becomes the source of Chochmah. Higher than Atzilus is not even the source.
When we say Sof Ma'aseh Machshava Tefillah,
No.
which Chochmah is it?
It doesn't say Chochmah, it says Machshava. No. It's not Chochmah. The Eibusher created the world in Tishrei, but the purpose is Nisan.
Wow.